I want to talk to you about the different ways that OCD caused a financial burden in my life and in my loved ones' lives as well. With contamination OCD, as far back as I can remember, I have thrown away so many clothes, so many pillows, blankets, furniture, you name it. Um, Food. If my brain convinced me it was contaminated and unsafe, then it would go in the trash. There is no way to even put a physical number on the amount of money um, that has been wasted due to my obsessive compulsive disorder. As an adult, when I had my own family, I have 2 kids and my husband. When I would do grocery shops, there would be times where I would spend a couple $100s and I would get to the checkout line and the cashier who was bagging my groceries had one of those little blue Band-Aids on their finger. And my brain would just run wild. What if the blood came out of the Band-Aid? They have to touch everything when they scan it. So now everything is contaminated because what if they have a bloodborne illness like HIV or something else? Mind you, I know very well that this isn't how things like that are transmitted, but OCD doesn't respond to logic, right? So in my head, I'm watching all of these groceries get bagged, knowing full well that they're going to end up in the trash. And there are so many times throughout my 10 years of marriage where groceries were just getting completely thrown away. And that is, y'all, it is so hard to reconcile with that. Then, as an adult, again, I'm not ashamed to admit it because I do think OCD feeds on shame and guilt. So I really tried to take my power back and not be ashamed and remind myself that this is a mental health disorder that has to be managed and there isn't a cure. My OCD love to latch on to the fear of rodents and rodent droppings and the viruses and the diseases that they can carry. So we are a military family. We move a lot. Moving can be extremely stressful, neurotypically, and you add OCD and it's a breeding ground for anxiety and uncertainty, and OCD thrives in that. So we move probably every 3 years, which means new houses, new places for OCD to latch onto things. My OCD used to latch onto asbestos as well and being afraid of that. And so these homes that we're moving into, they may or may not have it, but my brain was trying to tell me they absolutely did. Also, I was always hyper fixated and hyper focused on looking for any evidence or signs of rodents, because if I found that, then my brain would say we had no choice but to move out. Which brings me to my next point. Another thing, and again, I try to take the shame out of it because, again, this happens and it's because of this mental health disorder that I struggle with. But there are many times that I convinced my husband that we needed to pack up and move because whether it was asbestos or rodent droppings, which there actually were rodent droppings in a house, but they were old and I was constantly searching for something. And if you look long enough, you're going to find something, right? And so instead of, having pest control come in and do what they're supposed to do, I said, nope, we got to move. That's the only safe thing we can do. And mind you, this was before my husband educated himself on obsessive compulsive disorder and how to give me the support I need versus the support my OCD wants, which is another thing that I am so grateful to NOCD for. He had that opportunity to come and sit in on those therapy sessions and really learned how OCD shows up and how to not fuel that fire. But he didn't know that at this time. So you think about the deposits that you lose, first and last month's rent, the deposit, not to mention buying a moving truck and all the moving supplies and uprooting your family and moving them into another house. The amount of money, again, I don't think that I can put a physical number on that, but it's thousands and thousands of dollars. Lastly, another big one that comes to mind is getting rid of a car. So same thing. We were in California and we found rodent droppings in the hood of our car. Instead of, navigating through that uncertainty, I was like, no, we can't get in this car. We can't drive. This isn't safe. We can't put our kids at risk. We have to sell it. We have to get rid of it and get a new one. Took a loss on the car that we, sold and got a new one. That really wasn't the best fit for us, but my OCD was screaming and creating chaos. At the time, we were a young family. We didn't have a lot saved up, and it wrecked us financially. If I'm being 100% honest, we have still not financially recovered from the chaos that my OCD ensued on our lives. And that's hard. It's hard. But I really try to not get lost in the past. OCD rarely wants us to stay present. It wants us past and future, right? And I can't control the past. It's over and it's done. All I can control is the present and what I do moving forward. And so I tell myself that I am committed to doing the hard things so that this never repeats itself, so that I never end up in the position that I am now with this debt that I'm still paying off because of the impulsive decisions that were driven by my OCD. I want to tell you guys this, though. If you are a loved one or you are someone who is going through ERP therapy right now, and you relate to this, and maybe you're still doing this. Maybe you're still throwing groceries away. Maybe you're still letting your fears drive you versus your values. Please know, first and foremost, that you're not alone. But second, if you are willing to let your loved ones come and sit in on therapy sessions, they can help you. They can learn, again, the best way to support us in the way that we need, not the support that our OCD wants, which is that reassurance piece, right? And feeding the chaos. Now, we would never move. We would never sell a car. We would never get rid of groceries because my husband knows what to look for, right? And we know the tools that we have to lean into and use to make sure that we don't end up in that spot again. Do I have days where my OCD is loud and wants me to throw things away? Absolutely. There's not a cure. It's extremely manageable and treatable, but I still have to lean into those tools. You guys are not alone. That is what I always want people to know. And I know that there can be a lot of embarrassment and shame that comes with making bad financial decisions when it comes to OCD. I also want you to know that you are not alone in that. And while it is a really painful thing to look back on, I also am so grateful that I have the tools that I have so that I don't continue to do that now. We can do hard things. You can do hard things. ERP therapy will teach us to use our values to drive us. I value saving money. I value making responsible decisions. I let that be my driving factor every single day versus the fears, right? So when I'm in that cashier line and I see a cashier with a little blue Band-Aid, does my brain scream at me? Absolutely. And I have to sit with that uncertainty. I have to learn to tolerate it. I have to respond in a way that doesn't feed the OCD, right? So we bag the groceries, we take them home, we put them away, and we feed them to our families. As irresponsible as it feels, as wrong as it feels. We don't move houses. We don't get rid of cars if it's based on fear caused by OCD. Hopefully, this has made someone feel a little less alone and more understood. And hopefully, you are able to use these tools that you're learning in exposure response therapy to help lessen that financial burden. If you're not currently in therapy and you're looking for therapy, you can go to treatmyocd.com and sign up for a free 15-minute call with one of our team members. They are absolutely amazing, and they make getting connected to care so easy. Thank you all for listening, and I hope you have an amazing rest of your day.